Okay po. Sorry for the interruption. So, diniscuss po natin yung present worth, future worth, annual cost analysis, rate of return, and then cost-benefit analysis. Just like what I have reminded you last meeting natin, sabi natin when we're dealing with alternatives with same project life or same number of n, you can only use present worth, future worth, present worth, and future worth. Ano po? And for those alternatives with different life or with different number of years, you can use annual cost, rate of return, and then cost benefit analysis. Ano po? So again, yung equation naman natin when we're dealing with present worth, future worth, at annual worth or annual cost ay pareho lang. Ano po? However, on the case of the rate of return, medyo nag-iiba po siya kasi we will try to consider yung alternative na given. Ano po, kung mapapansin nyo po, yung ating formula sa ROR previously is net annual profit over capital invested. On the case po of evaluating alternatives, we will follow the same but involving the options or involving the alternative. Let's say net annual profit of A minus net annual profit of B over capital invested of A minus capital invested of B. And sabi natin, kung ROR ang pinag-uusapan natin, we will try to consider if ROR is less than MARR, we'll choose alternative with lower investment, but for ROR with above MARR, we'll choose alternative with higher investment. Ano po? Saan ba yan? Ito yun. Yan. Tandaan po natin ito. Ito po yan. And ito. Itong nasa babang ito. Yan. Yan po ang ating nalandaan. But on the case of annual worth, present worth, and future worth, it's all the same. Okay po. Now, on the case of cost-benefit analysis, ang in-introduce po muna dito sa atin ay una yung evaluating single project. Ang ginawa ay evaluating single project. Ito nga po, ito. Itong example 7. Ulit, ito nga natin, rotate nga natin. Ayan. Evaluating single project po ang ating ginawa with cost-benefit analysis, and we found out, ang sabi natin when we're dealing with cost-benefit analysis, kapag ang B over C is greater than or equal to 1, so more likely the project is desirable or favorable. However, if it's less than 1, so doon po tayo nagkakaroon ng problema. It only means na mas malaki talaga yung cost kaysa sa benefit, so lugi tayo doon. So in the case, itong example 7 na ito, again, is example of evaluating single project. But if you will be using this method for comparing alternatives, we'll follow the given process, the given procedure. So ito, in this case po, meron tayong 4 na alternatives in which it included the annual benefits and annual cost. So when we do the cost-benefit analysis, it will be the benefit of A minus the benefit of B all over the cost of A minus the cost of the benefit of A minus the benefit of B over the cost of A minus the cost of B. So in that case, ganito po yung gagawin natin. It will result to 1.12, 14.95, and 1.99. So ang reminder ko po sa inyo dito, gaya nung ginawa nung last meeting natin, you need to have a reference alternative. Sa example kung ito, ang reference alternative natin is A. And we found out by comparing A to B, A to C, and A to D, all of which are greater than 1. So more likely it satisfies that the best option for the 4 alternatives is A, because once you compare it to any other alternative, lahat po siya ay greater than 1. Halimbawa po, gaya nung sabi ko, nagkaroon ng inconsistencies, nagkaroon ng less than 1 or nagkaroon ng negative, in which case hindi siya yung mapipili nating best alternative. What we will be doing is to look for another reference alternative. Probably the next is B. B to C, and B to D. Now, kung maging consistent na siya, then the best option is B. Ano po? Sana klaro po yun ha. At kung sana na-imagine niyo yung gusto kong sabihin. Nagkataon na ito yung A to B, A to C, and A to D ay nag-satisfy, all of which are greater than 1. The very reason why we choose A. But let's say for example, laging 0.8, 1.3, at negative 0.9. In that case, hindi consistent na greater than 1 siya. So maaaring hindi talaga A ang best option. Then I will try B to C and B to D. If I will be trying B to C and B to D at kung naging consistent naman po siya na greater than 1, more likely baka nga B siya. Sana po nagigets po natin ha, yung gusto kong sabihin. And then, I guess we answered this chapter test already. At ang napili ata natin ay letter B. Tama po ba yon? Letter B nga. Then we try to discuss the cost-benefit analysis. I wasn't able to give you example. I wasn't able to give you example lang kasi parang pareho lang po talaga siya nung una. At mas madali nga ito because in the exam, it will be stated to which particular formula for cost-benefit analysis will be asked. Kung ano gagamitin ninyo. And then we try to discuss break-even analysis. Tama po? Dito tayo natapos sa break-even o magsisimula pa lang tayo dito? Ba't hindi nagalaw ang screen? Sorry po, nawawala ang internet. Can you still hear me? Okay, thank you very much. So, diniscuss po natin yung cost-benefit analysis. Ang sabi natin doon, ibibigay na lang po sa atin sa exam kung anong particular equation ang nire-require po sa atin. Pero yung proseso po ay ganun pa rin. You just have to identify which are the benefits, which are these benefits, and which are the costs. Ano po? Ito po bang chapter na natapos natin? Or magsisimula pa lang po tayo? Ano po yung like? Natapos o magsisimula pa lang? Yes, Miko? Ano yan? Hindi ko marinig. Ano yun, Miko? Nag-e-echo. Mm. Yep. 7? 7? Go.
Ay, yun na lang po.
Sige. Okay po. As I remember, ito po ay ating natapos. Ano po? Pero nonetheless, i-cover pa rin po natin. So gaya ng sabi po natin, the break-even is a point at which you were able to make sure that cost is equal to revenue. Ibig sabihin yung parang nasalo mo na yung lahat ng ginastos. Yun po yung ating break-even. Gaya ng discussion natin previously dun sa discussion ng payback period, yung payback period po and break-even is almost related, considering that the point at which the cost equal revenue is equal to the break-even point, but the time it took for the cost to be equal to revenue, that's the payback period. Ano po? So I have shown you the diagram. Ito po, in which it will tell you that below the point of break-even, parang there is really a loss, but beyond the point of break-even going up, you can have the profit already. Ibig sabihin, yung mga kikitain mo on the next coming years, upon the break-even point, siya na yung equivalent to profit natin. So gaya ng example po natin, there are times talaga na wala pong equation na gagamitin dito. Ang magkakaroon lang po dito ay pag pinapahanap yung quantity o pinapahanap yung sales, may binigay naman po dyan, but not necessarily laging ganon. Kasi gaya na sabi ko, it can always be solved using unit analysis. Para lang po siyang word problems in algebra. Ano po? That sometimes might not require to have equation. So for example, two machines are being considered for the production of a particular part for which there is a long-term demand. Machine A costs 50,000 and is expected to last 3 years and have 10,000 salvage value. Machine B costs 75,000 and is expected to last 6 years with no salvage value. Machine A can produce a part in 18 seconds. Machine B requires only 12 seconds per part. The out-of-pocket hourly cost of operation is 38 pesos for A and 30 pesos for B. Monthly maintenance costs are 200 pesos for A and 220 pesos for B. If interest on invested capital is 25%, determine the number of parts per year at which the machines are equally economical. If the expected number of parts per year is greater than this break-even quantity, which machine would be favored? So again po, ang pinapahanap po sa atin is determine the number of parts in which machine A and machine B will be both economical. Ano po? Or equally economical. So in that case po, kailangan natin kunin yung total annual cost kasi wala naman pong binigay na revenue dito. Lahat po ito ay cost. Ano po? Makikita nyo, lahat po yan ay cost. So, hindi binigay ang revenue pero ang tanong pa rin ay economical. So, more likely, pag nagpareho yung cost, dapat pareho din yung revenue niyan. Or, more likely, pareho yung magiging gagastusin lamang for a certain commodity. So po, ang gagawin po natin is kinuha natin yung different cost for the both machine, including the depreciation, the maintenance, and the operation. Tandaan po natin yung ating depreciation was obtained using sinking fund method ha. Yung ating pong depreciation was obtained using sinking fund method using the first cost. Ano po? So, kung iisipin natin, yung atin pong depreciation, it's like the ordinary annuity of the first cost. Ano po? Because the formula for ordinary annuity is the same as formula for the annual depreciation. Okay po? Macha-check nyo po yan dyan. And then meron tayong 2,400 and 2,640. That came from 24 nga ba yan? 12 pala, sorry, 12 months per year times 200. And ito ay yearly, ano po ito ha? Yearly maintenance. And 220 times 12. So that's 2,400 and 2,640 respectively for machine A and machine B. While for the operation, it will come from 0.38 kasi babayaran daw po tayo ng hourly operation. 0.38 divide 36 kasi there will be 3,600 seconds per hour. Wait lang pala, sorry. Yung 12, yung 18 pala, yung 18. 18 divide 36 times 38. Ano po? That is, again, yung atin pong operation will come from 18 seconds. Yung 18 seconds po, i-divide na, i-convert natin sa hour. So that is 18 seconds divide 36. So that's 0.005 hours. At kada hour po, babayaran tayo ng 38 pesos. So in that case, that is 18 divide 36 times 38, which is 0.19. For A and for B, that's 12 divide 36 times 30. So that's 0.1. And then just add it up. Then equate lang po natin siya. Ano po? Hindi. Wala ba binigay na method? Gamitin po natin pala yung ating ROR. Dito po sa example na ito, hindi po pinigay na ROR ang gagamitin, but it should be mentioned po sa example na dapat siya ay ROR. Because you cannot assess both options by using equally, in terms of equally economical, kung walang method na gagamitin. Hindi lang siya pwedeng basta i-equate. Ano po? Yan. So in that case po, it will require 29,544 parts for both machines to be equally economical. Pero kung ang pagbabasihan po natin ay yung cost of operation, para masabing maging economic, alin ang magiging favorable, if the expected number of parts per year is greater than this break-even quantity, which machine would be favored? Kung tumaas po from to 29,544 yung number of parts, let's say 29,545 na, paano na gagawin natin ito? Ngayon, ang gagawin po natin is we will be dealing with which one has the least cost. So in that case po, kung tumaas sa 29,544 yung ating number of parts, at i-multiply natin siya sa hourly operation, ngayon po, ang sa hourly operation, ngayon, ang magiging ano po nito, ang magiging basehan na lang natin ay whichever it has the lowest cost or operation cost. Ano po? Yan. So therefore, machine B po ang economical. Now, I have presented also, again, yung sinabi ko kanina, yung equations or formula for break-even point considering that there is number of units as well as the total sales. Ito naman po ay, it will only include the selling price, the first cost, and the variable cost per unit. So, example po, the firm has fixed cost of $10,000 this period. Direct labor is $1.5 per unit and the material is $0.75 per unit. The selling price is $4 per unit. Find the break-even point in dollars and in units. So, in the case po, nung ating break-even point in terms of sales, thank you very much. That will become the first cost all over 1 minus the variable cost per unit which is 2.5. Saan po nang galing yun? 2.25. Saan po nang galing yun? That will come from 1.5 per unit plus 0.75 per unit. Bakit po sinabi siyang variable? Kasi po, yung variable cost po magbabago-bago siya depende kung anong quota na kailangan mong i-produce. Sabihin po, pwede siyang tumaas at pwede siyang bumaba depende sa number of quota o number of materials, number of targets that you intend to produce. Ano po? Now, on the case po of now, so kaya siya magiging $22,857.14. But on the case of the number of units to break even, that is the first cost over the selling price per unit minus the variable cost per unit. In that case, it will require you 5,714.29 units for you to break even. Okay po? And there are still several examples related to break even na gaya po ng sabi ko, no formula. Ano po? By just using unit analysis, tandaan lang po natin na dapat ang goal natin ay makancel ang mga unnecessary units para makuha natin ano ba yung re-required na unit natin. Example na ito, a company produces a gear that is commonly used by several lawnmower manufacturing companies. The base cost of operation, including rent and utilities, is $750,000 per year. The cost of manufacturing is $1.25 per gear. If these gears are sold at $7.35 each, how many must be sold each year to break even? How many must be sold each year to break even? So ano pong nire-require? Number of gear. Ano po? So wala dapat ditong year, wala dapat ditong dollars. Okay po? So in that case, kunin po natin ang cost. Ang cost natin is yung pagbili ng lawnmower which is $750,000. Ayan po. At ang ating gagastusin sa pagpuproduce ng isang gear ay 1.35. Kasi sabi yan, the cost of manufacturing is $1.35 per gear. So yun yung total na cost na gagastusin natin para makaproduce tayo. Ano po? Ng isang gear lamang. Pero kung gusto mo ng madaming gear, let the number of gear be X. Ano po? Yan. Kaya X yung number of gears. Then, ang revenue natin, ang sabi natin, sa kada isang gear na mapuproduce natin, ibebenta natin siya ng $7.35. Since we don't know yet how many gears are to be produced, let that be X. Then again, the goal of break-even is for the cost be equal to revenue. So in that case, if you have to produce 125,000 gears per year. Another example po. The annual maintenance cost of a machine shop is $10,000. The cost of making a forging is $2. And the selling price is $3. How many forgings should be produced each year in order to break even? So again, ang konsepto po ng ating break even is cost equals revenue. So in that case, parang na po nung kanina. Okay po. Present economy study. So ito po ay kapareho lang din halos ng break-even. Pero yung break-even po kasi, the goal always is to make cost equal revenue. Pero in the case po of present economic studies or present economic problems, wala po siyang ginogol na mag-break-even tayo. Yung present economic studies po ay para lang economic-related problems na pang-algebra. Ano po? Again, walang problem, walang formula. Ang kailangan lang po natin ay makuha yung hinahanap based on our knowledge on algebra. Kaya sabi ko, again, when we're dealing with present economic problems, ito po ay halos kapareho lamang ng break-even, which is unit analysis. Example, an electrical contractor has a job which should be completed in 100 days. At present, he has 80 men on the job, and it is estimated that they will finish the work in 130 days. If of the 80 men, 50 are paid 190 a day, 25 at 220 a day, and 5 at 300 a day. And if for each day beyond the original 100 days, the contractor has to pay 2,000 pesos liquidated damages, how many more men should the contractor add so he can complete the work on time? Letter B, if the additional men of 5 are paid 220 a day and the rest at 190 a day, would the contractor save money by employing more men and not paying the fine? So tandaan po natin na dapat daw matapos yung trabaho sa 100 days. Ano po? Pero ngayon, meron ka lang 80 men. And of that 80 men, magkatrabaho daw sila ng 130. So more likely, hindi mo pa rin kayang tapusin na 100 days kasi yung 80 men mo, ang sabi doon, kaya niyang tapusin yung sa 130 days. And of that 80 men, ang babayaran mo ay 50, yung out of 80 men, 50 ang babayaran mo ng 190, 25 ang babayaran mo ng 220, and 5 ang babayaran mo ng 300. Pero dahil lalampas ka sa 100 days in which you will be having 30 days na lampas, each day daw po ay each day beyond, the contractor has to pay 2,000 liquidated damages. Ano po? So, ang tanong ay, kung gusto mong matapos yung trabaho mo within 100 days, gaano kadami ang dapat mo idagdag sa 80? Ano po? Yung tanong. At kung magdadagdag ka, sa dami ng idadagdag mo, halimbawa yun na, magdadagdag ka ng number of workers, yun yung A, yun yung tanong, how many? Pero kung nalaman mo na yung number of workers sa dadagdag mo, ang tanong sabi, if dun sa dadagdag mo, 5 babayaran mo ng 220 at yung the rest ibabayaran mo ng 190, nakakasave ba tayo or hindi? Ano po? So in that case, let X be the number of men to be added to complete the job on time. And then afterwards, we equate it to na dapat matapos within 100 days. So that's X plus 80 multiplied by the number of days in which you should complete the job, which is 100. Then equals 80 times 130. In that case, it will require an additional 24 men to complete the job after 100 days. Ano po? So yun yung sagot na natin yung una, yung letter A. Now, ang tanong doon sa B, out of 24 daw, 5 will be paid 220 and the rest will be paid 190. Kung 24 sila, 5 ay 220, malamang 19 po ang babayaran ng 190. So in that case, yung ating babayaran na we consider muna yung 80. Yung 80 muna ang ating i-consider. Wala pa tayong idadagdag. Ano po? I-consider muna natin yung 80 ha. So, meron tayong 50 who will be paid for 190. Ano po? And then, babayaran siya 190 a day, working for the next 130 days. And 25 will be paid 220 again for 130 days, and then 5 will be paid 300 for 130 days, and then for a day exceeding 100, it will be paid 2,000 a day for as liquidated damages. So ang total expenses when you opt to use the 80 men working for 130 days, it will cost you $2,205. But if you will be adding your men, ano po, if you will be adding 24 men, in which case it will become 80 plus 24, that's a total of 104 men on the job. So that would become, you will be paying 50 initially, you will be paying 190 pesos for the 50 men. But if you will be adding the 19, because ang sabi minus 5, that's 19. That is 50 plus 19 will be paid 190 times 100, which is the completion job. It will require you 1,311,000. Then afterwards, 220 will be paid. 200 pesos, ang ibabayad natin sa 25. But since magkakaroon tayo ng 24 men, and out of the 24 men, additional 5 will be paid with 220 pesos also. Kaya siya naging 25 plus 5. Then 5 again. Then that will cost 2,121,000. So, kung i-add natin yon 50 plus 19 plus 25 plus 5 plus 5, ito, hanggang, tapos ito, kung i-add natin siya, dapat mag-equal siya sa 104. Ano po? Yeah. So, in that case, you will be saving 84,000 if you will be adding 24 men to complete the job on time within 100 days. Ano po? So, ang ating option is to add more men. Kasi magkakaroon tayo ng savings. Another example po, the monthly demand for eye scans being manufactured by Mr. Cruz is 3,200 pieces. With a manually operated guillotine, the unit cutting cost is 25,000. An electrically operated hydraulic guillotine was sold to Mr. Cruz at a price of 275,000 pesos, in which will cut by 30% the unit cutting cost. Disregarding the cost of money, how many months will Mr. Cruz be able to recover the cost of the machine if he decides to buy it now? So we'll be comparing the manually operated guillotine and the electrical operated hydraulic guillotine. The monthly cutting cost is the monthly cutting cost for manually operated guillotine is 25,000. Ito po ay 25,000 ha. Ito po. 25,000 po yan, sorry. Multiplied by the total number of pieces that we have to produce, which is 3,200, that would be equal to, pa-check rin po ako kung tama ang calculation ha, hindi ko na po ito na-check. Which is 80,000, that's for the manually operated guillotine. Now, for the electrically operated hydraulic guillotine, it will cost you, it will reduce the unit cutting cost to 30%. So in that case, it will only take you 7.7. This will become 3,200 times 0.7 times 25,000. Ano po? Mali din po ito. May times 0.25,000 po dyan ha. Ano na lang po ako. Pakalkin na lang din po ako kung tama. Then afterwards, we get the savings, which is 80,000 minus 56,000. Therefore, the savings will be 24,000 per month. At ang ibig sabihin po nun, since magkakaroon tayo ng saving, we opted to buy the electrically operated hydraulic guillotine now. Ano po? Kasi ang ating magiging savings is 24,000 per month. Kung tayo ay gagamit ng electrically operated hydraulic guillotine. Now, if you will be buying the electrically operated hydraulic guillotine, how many months should we recover the cost? So in that case, yung total cost or yung first cost is 275,000. And then yung ating kikitain every month is 24,000. Therefore, it will take us 11.5 months to break even or kumbaga ma-recover yung ating costs. Ano po? Yan. Ito ang tanong dito, break even pa rin ha, pero not all the time break even ang tanong. Another example, the making of rivets, hole in structural steel members can be done by two methods. The first method consists of laying out the position of the holes in the members and using a drill press costing 30,000. The machinist is paid per hour and he can drill 30 holes per hour. The second method makes use of multiple punch machine costing 27,500. The punch operator is paid 30 pesos an hour and he can punch out 4 holes every minute. This method also requires an expenses of 1.75 pesos per hole to set the machine. If all other costs are assumed equal, what is the total cost for each machine for 6,000 holes, assuming the total cost of each machine is to be charged to these holes? For how many holes will the cost be equal? So ulitin ko po ha, meron tayong dalawang methods. Yung una po is yung drill press costing 30,000 pesos. By using the drill press, kailangan po tayo magkaroon tayo ng machinist which will be paid which will be paid 35 pesos. Walang to ha guys, 35. May 35 pesos dyan. Which will be, the machinist will be paid 35 pesos per hour and he can drill 30 holes per hour. Ano po, yun yung unang method. On the second method, meron tayong multiple punch machine costing 27,500. However, the punch operator is to be paid 30 pesos per hour and magkakaroon siya ng 40 holes every minute. Ano po? Kaso, out of that, meron pa rin para maset niya po yung machine, para makaproduce siya ng 4 holes every minute, kailangan niya pa rin pong iset yung machine at kada mag-iset niya yon, babayaran siya ng 1.75 per hole. So, in that case po, that is, para malaman natin kung gaano katagal yung gugugulin nating oras para magamit yung drill press at maproduce yung 6,000 holes, ang sabi dyan, mag-ooperate siya ng 30 holes per hour. 30 holes per hour and you're targeting to produce 6,000 holes. Ito po. Yan, ano po. So in that case, it will take you 200 hours to produce the 6,000 holes. Then, kung meron tayong 200 hours, every hour, babayaran yung ating machinist ng 35 pesos. Therefore, it will cost us 7,000 pesos for the whole 6,000 holes within 200 hours. Now, the cost of the drill press is 30,000 pesos. Therefore, the total cost is 37,000. On the other hand, for the multiple punch machine, for every hole, for every minute, you'll be able to produce 4 holes. And within an hour, you'll be able to produce 240. Ano po? In an hour, you'll be able to produce 240 holes. Yan. So in that case, 6,000 over 240, it will only take you 25 hours to produce the 6,000 holes. Therefore, if the punch operator will be paid 30 pesos per hour and he will work on within 25 hours. Therefore, it will cost him 750 pesos. On the other hand, the cost of the machine will be 1.75 pesos per hole. Cost of setting the machine, $1.75 per hole, and there will be 6,000 holes. It will cost you 10,500. And the cost of the machine is 27,500. Therefore, the total cost is 38,750. Therefore, ang kailangan po natin ay total cost yung dalawa, yung 37,000 at yung 38,750. Sabi po dyan, for how many holes will the cost be equal? So gagawin po natin, i-ex po natin ito, yung ating 6,000, i-ex po natin dyan, at pag nag-ex natin yan, ipag-i-equate lang po natin siya. Ano po? ipag-i-equate lang natin. Gawin, ifa-follow nyo lang po din ito. Ifa-follow nyo lang din po itong prosesong ito. Then instead of having 6,000 holes, let that be x. And then yung x na iyon, yun po yung ating magiging multiplier dito. Diyan. At saka dito. Okay po. Ito po hindi pesos ha, ito yung hour. Itong 25 na ito. Doon po natin masasolve yung for how many holes will the cost be equal. Another example, the volume of the raw material required for a certain machine part is 2.02 cubic centimeter. The finished volume is 1.05 cubic centimeter. The time for machining each piece is 45 seconds for steel and 30 seconds for brass. The cost of steel is 32.5 pesos per kilogram, and the value of steel scrap is negligible. The cost of the brass is 60 pesos per kilogram, and the value of brass scrap is 25 pesos per kilogram. The wage of the operator is 40 pesos per hour, and the overhead cost of the machine is 50 pesos per hour. The weight of steel and brass are 0.0081 and 0.0088 kilogram per cubic centimeter, respectively. Which material will you recommend? Explain ko lang po yung tanong. So magkakaroon daw, kailangan daw natin mag-produce ng material, ano po, ng isang finished product. And that finished product will require us to have 2.02 cubic centimeter. Ano po, yung finished product will require a material amounting to 2.02 cubic centimeter. Pero pag ginamit natin yung material na yon, it will only took us 1.05. Yung gagamitin natin out of 2.02 will only be 1.05 and the rest will be scrap. Ano po? And the rest will be scrap. Now, para magamit po 'yon, kung gagamit tayo ng steel kung gagamit tayo para magawa po 'yon, kung gagamit tayo ng steel na material, it will take us 45 seconds. But for brass, it will only take us 30 seconds. Ano po? Now, kung ang gagamit natin ay steel, bibili tayo ng steel na nagkakahalaga ng 32.5 pesos per kilogram. Pero ang kanyang scrap value, yung scrap value niya, yung tira niya, kasi gaya ng sabi natin, bibili tayo ng 2.02 cubic centimeter na steel worth with 32.5 pesos per kilogram. Pero dahil ang magagamit lang ay 1.05, yung matitira doon, ang sabi diyan, walang value. Walang scrap value. Pero kung gagamit tayo ng brass at ang presyo ng brass ay 60 pesos per kilogram, therefore bibili pa rin tayo ng 2.02 kasi yun ang requirement. 2.02 worth 60 pesos per kilogram. Then, ang gagamitin lang natin ay 1.05 at ang matitira doon ay magkakaroon ng scrap value na 25 pesos per kilogram. Ngayon, kung ang gagamitin natin, kung ang operator natin ay babayaran natin ng 40 pesos per hour at magkakaroon to ng additional overhead cost of 50 pesos per hour, the weight of the steel are ito pong 0.0081 and 0.0088 kilogram per cubic meter. Ano daw ang i-recommend natin? So, the weight per piece for steel, that's 2.02 times 0.0081. It will require a 0.01636 kilogram of steel. At kung yun yung bigat ng steel, gaano kalaki ang ating gagastusin? That's 0.05317. At yung wage operator natin ay babayaran natin ng 40 pesos per hour. 40 pesos per hour, but to machine the steel, it will take him 45 seconds. So this is 45 seconds over 3,600 seconds per hour. And then multiply by 40 kasi yun yung rate ng machinist, yung operator. Ano po? So that will be equal to 0.5. And the overhead cost is, ito po yun, 45 seconds pare. Over 3,600. And then, ito pong overhead cost, which is 50 pesos. Yan. The total cost is 1.6567. Makikicheck po ako kung tama yung pagkaka-add dyan, ha? Kasi i-add natin ito, i-add natin yan, at i-add natin yan. Eh, parang tama naman. Now, for brass is, ganun din po. Follow the same procedure. Get the weight of the brass, which is 0.01778 kilogram. And the material is 0.01778 times 60 pesos. That's already 1.6687. And the wage of operator is 0.33 and the overhead cost is 0.4167. The total cost, I guess, is not this one. Mukhang hindi po yan ang total cost. Because yung i-add mo pa lang yung 1.6687 at saka yung 0.4167, eh parang 2 na yun. Tama po, parang 2 na iyon. Basta po ito yung mali, ha? I-check nyo po, ito yata yung mali or baka ito ang mali dito, baka ito yung tama, itong 1.8168, kayo na pang bahala mag-check. Ngayon, dahil ibebenta natin yung tirang scrap ng brass, which is 2.02 minus 1.05, yun ang ating matitira. Kunin natin yung weight by multiplying to density, then i-multiply natin sa pressure per kilogram. We will be recovering an amount of 0.2134. Babawas natin ito sa total cost. Kung ano man yan, kung tama man ito, depende kung tama yan. Ngayon po, kung halimbawa tama ito, ang pipiliin po natin ay brass. Ano po? Brass ang ating pipiliin kung tama yung sagot na iyan. Next. Next example. High carbon steel or alloy steel can be used for the set of tools on the lathe. The tools must be sharpened periodically. Data for each are as follows. Output per hour, time between two grinds, and time required to change tools. The wage of the lathe operator is 50 pesos per hour. Based on actual working hours, the tool changer costs 60 pesos per hour. Overhead costs for the lathe are 45 pesos per hour, including tool change time. A set of unsharpened high carbon steel costs 500 pesos, can be ground 10 times. A set of unsharpened alloy steel costs 850 pesos and can be ground 5 times. Which type steel should be used? So in that case po, since meron naman tayong given data here, what we will be doing is to get the cycle time for both material. So if you will be using high carbon steel, the cycle time, including the changing time and the grounding time, is, and the change of tool is 4 plus 1, that's 5. Ito po yan. For alloy steel, that's 6 plus 1, that's 7. 7. Okay. For the number of pieces per cycle, meron tayong within 4 hours, kakaroon tayo ng 60 pesos per hour. Therefore, wait lang. Okay. Hindi ito number of pieces per cycle. Ito ay cost. Cost po ito. Itong 240. Okay. Cost po yan per cycle. So the cost per The cost during grinding, that's 4 hours times 60 pesos. Ano po? Yun pong ating ibabayad sa ating operator during grinding is 240 pesos. Now, for the operator, it will cost us 50 pesos. 50 pesos per hour, and he will be working 4 hours during grinding. That's 200. Then the tool changing, it's, wait lang ha, parang sala arga. Ito pala ang 60 pieces. Oo. The total number of pieces per cycle will be 240. Ito po yun. Ito, 60 times 4. Okay po. Then, ang babayaran po natin, kada cycle, kung operator ang gagawa nito, magkatrabaho siya ng grinding for 4 hours, he will be paid 50 pesos. That's 200. Ngayon po, yung tool changer ay babayaran ng 60 pesos kada oras, pero meron lang isang oras para mag-change ng tool. That will become 60 pesos. Na yung overhead natin is, yung overhead po ay magaganap sa whole operation or sa whole cycle, in which case, for the whole 5 hours, and he will be paid 45 pesos. So in that case, that amounts to 225 pesos. So for the unsharpened tool, sabi dyan, for a set of unsharpened high carbon steel costs 500 can be ground 10 times. So every time na magsha-sharpen tayo ng isa, it will cost us an additional of 50 pesos. So by adding 200 times 60 times 225 times 535, that would be equal to, wait lang, 200 plus 60 plus 535. Okay po. That's for high carbon steel. Ngayon po, the cost per piece, kung siya ay high carbon steel, is 2.23 pesos. Ano po? So, the cost per piece. Pero kung alloy po ang ating gagamitin, again, you'll be able to produce 70 pieces. Ito po yun. Now, for working for 7 hours, for 6 hours lang kasi yun lang yung cycle time. Ito. Yung grinding time. So that's you'll be able to produce 420 pieces. Ngayon, babayaran po yung ating operator na mag-grind working for 6 hours ng 50 pesos. At yung tool changer natin ay babayaran kada isang oras ng 60 pesos. Pero isang oras lang siya magkakaroon ng tool changing. Then yung overhead cost, ay babayaran ng 45,000 for the whole operation or cycle, which is 7 hours. In that case, that would be equal to 300 plus 60 plus 315. Kulang. And a set of unsharpened alloy steel costs 850 pesos and can be ground 5 times. So in this case po, yung additional cost natin sa ating unsharpened tool is 850 divide 5. So that's 170. So a total cost of 845 pesos. So yung 845 pesos po, mali po ito. Ito ay 420. 845 divide 420. That is 2.01. Therefore, use alloy steel. Because if you will be comparing the cost per piece, it would be 2.23 for steel and 2.01 for alloy steel. I hope po you get that. Ano po? Inom lang po akong tubig. Okay po. Dito po tayo sa chapter 11, Decision Recognizing Risk, which will also be part of our final exam. Ito naman po ay madali lang din. Ito ay parang, madali lang po ito kasi parang multiply and add lang ito talaga. To be honest, multiply and add lang po ito. All you need to do is to deeply and critically analyze the problem. Ano po? Isa po ito sa pinakamadaling topic. So learning outcome is to discuss and illustrate the probabilistic method that are useful in analyzing risk and uncertainty associated with the engineering economic studies. So when we're dealing with decision recognizing risk, we have to account for the EMV, or what we call expected monetary value. This EMV uses the probabilities to calculate the probability of payoff for each alternative. So how do we calculate for the EMV of a certain alternative? That is the probability of the outcome multiplied by the payoff of the outcome. So dapat po ang require sa atin, let's say for example 30% certainty that it will result to 50,000 profit. Parang ganun po siya. The payoff of the outcome is the profit of 50,000 and the probability of the outcome is 30% certainty halimbawa. So yun po yung ibig sabihin po na yun. Ano po? So let's say for example this one. You have three alternatives, whether you put up a large plant, you put up a small plant, or no plant at all. And the probability of the outcome is 30, 50, and 20 for each of the demand. Ano po? 0.3, 50, 30%, 50%, and 20% for each of the demand. Let's say for example, for a large plant, the demand would be 200,000 for high, 100,000 for moderate, and negative 120,000 for low. And same for small plant, 90, 50, and negative 20. And of course, for no plant, more likely there's no demand. Ano po? So what you will be doing to get the expected monetary value is to multiply the payoff and of course the probability. And the payoff for high demand is 200,000. And the probability is 30%, so that's 200,000 plus 0.3. Then you will be adding the moderate demand, which is 100,000, multiply it to 50%, and then plus negative 120 times 0.2, that is 86,000. Then the EMB for small plant by following the same procedure, that's 48,000. And of course, for no plant at all, that's 0. Since we were talking about the payoff of the outcome, we will be considering one with the highest EMB. We will be considering one with the higher EMB, in which case, in this case, is the large plant. Ano po? Because we're talking about the payoff of the outcome. Okay po? Now, when we're dealing with expected opportunity loss, this is almost the same as EMB. However, we're talking about the loss, not the expected monetary value. Following the same procedure, instead of payoff of the outcome, we will be considering the regret of the outcome. Okay po? Same example po ito, nagkataon lang na yung demand po natin is in terms of regret, not in terms of demand mismo. In terms of loss, not in terms of demand. So that's 0, 0, 120, 110, 50, and 20, 200, 100, and 0. So in that case, given the expected opportunity loss, since we're talking about loss, you have to consider one with the least value. Ano po? One with the least value. In which case is again large plant. Siguro best example dito is when you do drilling. Because when you do drilling, in the case of petroleum engineering, when you do drilling, you have several options. One is to drill it using your own resources, using your own equipments. The other option is to farm out, meaning you outsource the equipment, you hire Schlumberger, you hire Halliburton to do the drilling. And the next one is to not drill at all. Ano po? To not drill at all. So in that case, you also have three options. Ano po? Expected monetary value of alternatives. So kanina po, ito expected monetary value lamang. Now, when we're talking about expected monetary value of alternatives, ito po yun. Itong 86, itong 48, and 0. Ano na yan? Yeah. When we're dealing with expected monetary value of alternatives, we try to consider which among the alternative has perfect information. Ano po? We try to consider among the alternatives which has perfect information. So what do we mean by perfect information? It would tell us with certainty, with outcome, which outcome is going to occur. Having perfect information before making a decision would allow choosing the best payoff for the outcome. So that's perfect information. Now, how do we get the expected monetary value of alternatives with perfect information? Expected monetary value with perfect information, the expected payoff of having perfect information before making a decision. So that is probability of the outcome multiplied by the best payoff of the outcome. So how do we then get the expected value of perfect information? Again, we have the expected monetary value. Then we have expected value with perfect information. With perfect information. Then it was followed by expected value of perfect information. So the amount by which perfect information would increase our expected payoff provides an upper bound on what to pay for additional information. So ito yung ginagawa po ng ating mga ng ating mga politiko. I know you are aware of confidential funds, and these confidential funds are being given to certain people to get perfect information, or what we call intelligence information. Ano po? This intelligence information will provide us the context of what's really happening. Though, maaaring iba ang binabalita, pero ito yung tunay na nangyayari. And this is how we counter yung mga armed conflict. Ano po? This is how we counter several issues in the government that would intend to bring down the government. Ano po? Yun ay in the case of politics. But in the case of economics, same din po yun. Halimbawa, i-hire ko si ang mga economists ng mga taga-UP, halimbawa, i-hire ko sila to look for possible perfect information on the existence of having ganitong market. May produkto gusto kong i-produce, ngayon ano ang market share ng ganong kalaking ng ganong produkto sa ngayong panahon ito. So in that case, you will be hiring economists to get the exact perfect information. Let's say, sabi nila ang iyong market share kung ikaw itatayo mo yan ay will be equivalent to 35%. So if that is 35%, multiply the total demand, therefore you have to produce this much. Then when you produce that, it will cost you like this, and when you sell that product, it will give you like this. Therefore, at the end of the day, you'll still get your profit. Ganun po yung gusto natin sabihin. Ano po? Now, the expected value of perfect information would become from those who are in blue. Ano po? Those who are in blue. So, sabi natin dyan, payoffs in blue would be chosen based on perfect information. So, large plant, you have 200, ganun pa rin yan kanina, hindi naman binago yan. So, the expected value with perfect information is 110. But if you try to get the expected monetary value of the given, expected monetary value of the, itong 86,000, siya yung ibabawas natin doon sa ating expected monetary value with perfect information. Ito yung ating with perfect information. Ito yung ating EMB. Therefore, ito yung expected value of perfect information, yung 24,000. Now, paano nasabi na yung 200,000 at 100,000 ang with perfect information? Wala pong sinabi dito, hindi na mainit yung noodles. Wala pong sinabi dito, hindi rin pinagbasihan na siya ay 0.3 at 0.5, hindi rin sinabi na siya ay greater than 0.25 para masabi meron tayong perfect information. Ano po? Actually, if I am to interpret this, ang akin, masasabi ko na may perfect information ng isang bagay kung ang kanyang probability is greater than 0.25. Yun ay base sa interpretasyon ko dito, ha. Pero hindi po ganon. Kasi kung yung 0.3 at 0.5 ang may perfect information, pwede. Pwede pala. Kunin mo muna yung EMB. Kunin muna natin yung EMB. Nakuha natin yung EMB dito. Ano po? Yan. Napili mo yung large plant. Ngayon, kung ano yung napili mo, i-consider mo dun yun, yung may 0.25 and above. In which case is yung 0.3 at yung 0.5. Ano po? Yung 0.3 at yung 0.5. Yan. Kaya naging 200,000 at 100,000. Pero wala pong sinabi niya sa problem. That's just my only interpretation. Kung ako gagawa ng problem, I will include that. Ano po? I will include that. Or, kung di ko mo siya i-include, identified na po kung alin yung with perfect information. Either iba ang kulay, or iba ang font, or naka-bold, or naka-italics, kung ano man. Kasi I don't think madali niyo makikita kung ibang kulay, lalo kung photocopy. Ano po? Kaya, either sabihin ko kung ano reference, but the process is that you get the EMB first, then you select which one is the best payoff. Then afterwards, once you get that, you consider the reference percentage. Kung sinabi kong 0.25, everything higher than 0.25, at yung mapipili mo doon, yun ang with perfect information. Ano po? Yeah, and then afterwards, kunin natin yung expected value with perfect information. Then ibawas natin yung sa expected monetary value. That's the value of the perfect information. 24,000. Yan. So we also have decision tree analysis. This is the same as what we have discussed previously, only that EMB on the previous discussion is presented in tabular form. However, for decision tree analysis, the goal also is to get the EMB on the form of like a decision tree. Okay po? Decision trees are also called decision flow networks. And decision diagrams are powerful means of depicting and facilitating the analysis of important problems, especially those that involve sequential decisions and variable outcomes over time. Decision trees are used in practice because they make it possible to break down a large, complicated problem into a series of smaller, simple problems. And they enable objective analysis and decision-making that includes explicit consideration of the risk and effect of the future. Guys, tomorrow, pwedeng wala, pwedeng meron, but magsabi lang kayo kung kailan niyo gusto mag-review, ha? Magkakaroon pa rin tayo ng review. Walang problema. Tapusin lang natin to lahat, then we'll still have a review. Ano po? I can provide time naman. And decision trees are used in practice because they make it possible to break down a large, complicated problem into a series of smaller, simple problems, and they enable objective analysis and decision-making that includes explicit consideration of the risk and effect of the future. So in a decision trees, it can be used instead of a table. Kasi kanina yung discuss natin, nakatabular siya. To show alternatives of the outcome and payoffs consists of nodes and arcs, shows the order of decision and the outcomes. Yun po yung pinaka-importante. It shows the order of decisions as well as the outcomes. And yan. Ito po ang example. This is your decision point. Ito po yan. Yung square. Then, ito din. The square gives you the options pala. The square gives you the option, either a large plant, a small plant, and no plant at all. Then you have your circle. Siya yung decision point. Kasi dyan mo lalagay yung EMB. Ano po? Ng iba't ibang options. Yung small plant, large plant, and no plant at all. Then yung dulo po, siya yung ating probability and the demand. So, i-multiply lang po natin siya. 0.3 times 200,000, 0.5 times 100,000, 0.2 times 0. Then, i-add lang natin siya. Ilagay natin sa taas, dito. Yan. Then, pili tayo. Pareho po yun na. Kagaya lang yun ng table kanina. Now, in the exam, it will be stipulated in the exam whether you present your answer in tabular or in a decision tree form. Ano po? Yeah. Another sample problem. Southern Hospital Supplies, a company that makes hospital gowns, is considering the capacity expansion. Its alternatives are to do nothing, build a small plant, build a medium plant, or build a large plant. So more likely, you have 4 alternatives already. The new facility would produce a new type of gown. Gown yan. Gown yan. Lab gown. Ganun. And currently, the potential or marketability of this product is unknown. If a large plant is built and the favorable market exists, a profit of 100,000 could be realized. An unfavorable market would yield $90,000 loss. However, a medium plant would earn $60,000 profit with a favorable market. A $10,000 loss would result from an unfavorable market. A small plant, on the other hand, would return $40,000 with favorable market conditions and lose $5,000 in unfavorable market condition. Of course, there are always the option of doing nothing. Recent market research indicates that there is 0.4 probability of favorable market, which means that there is also 0.6 probability of an unfavorable market. With this information, the alternatives that will result in the highest expected monetary value can be selected. Prepare a decision tree and compute the EMB for each branch. If a new estimate of the loss from a medium plant is an unfavorable market increases to $20,000, what is the new EMB for this branch? Pagka ganito yung tanong, parang alam ko na ang sagot sa A. Kasi alam ko na ang sagot sa A ay medium. Kasi siya yung follow-up. Ano po? Yeah. So, in this case, you have 4 options. You have decision point and having large plant alternatives, large plant, medium plant, small plant, and doing nothing. You have favorable and unfavorable market as well as the expected profit and expected loss. So, you have to multiply then summation. Ano po? Then in which case, you'll be able to select one with the highest EMB, which is medium, $18,000. Okay po? Then afterwards, yung medium, kung ang loss niya from 10,000 become 20,000, what will be the expected monetary value? The expected monetary value would be 12,000 already, and therefore you select small plant. Okay po. I hope po malinaw po yun ha. Another example. A firm that plans to expand. Mag-raise hand lang kayo pag may tanong ha. A firm that plans to expand its product line must decide whether to build a small or large plant facility to produce the new product. If it builds a small facility and the demand is low, the net present value after deducting for the building costs will be $400,000. If demand is high, the firm can either maintain the small facility or expand it. Expansion would have a net present value of $450,000, and maintaining the small facility would have a net present value of $50,000. If a large facility is built, and then the demand is high. The estimated net present value is $800,000. If the demand returns out to be low, the net present value will be $10,000. Wait lang guys. Alam ko na, ulan na naman. The probability that the demand is high is estimated to be 0.6 and the probability that the demand is low is estimated to be 0.4. Prepare a decision tree analysis and what is the best alternative. So again, you have two options, small facility or large facility, and then demand is high or demand is low, as well as the respective probabilities. Now, if the demand is high, for you to accommodate the demand, it's either you expand or you maintain. Okay po? So in that case, that would become 450 plus times 0.6 plus 400 times 0.4. So the EMB is $430,000 for small. Now for large, that is 800,000 times 0.6 plus $10,000 times 0.4. And the EMB for large is $4,840. Now, it's either you present the EMB for small, considering you are expanding, and another EMB for small, considering that you are maintaining. That's both applicable. But if you try to do the maintaining, because one presented here is the expanding, the large plant will still be the largest EMB. Ano po? Klaro po tayo doon? Hindi pwedeng pong i-add sa small facility when the demand is high, yung both expanding and maintaining. Hindi pwede pong i-add dyan. Because they are still alternative for small facility having high demand. Last chapter, decision admitting uncertainty. This is quite okay. Medyo madami pala siya. Learning outcomes. Determine basic criteria and decision making. Use different criteria for making decisions under uncertainty. Select a decision from a set of possible decision alternatives. And again, evaluate the decision. So, in our previous lecture, we tried to incorporate the risk. Ano po? The risk is in terms of the probability. Ano po? Yun po yung risk. The risk of a certain scenario occur is the probability of a certain scenario occur. Yun po yung risk. The reason why risk and probability is naulan nga. Risk and probability are interrelated. Now, in the case of this chapter, our final chapter, we'll be talking about uncertainty. Ano po? We will be incorporating the uncertainty in our decision-making process. So decision analysis allows us to select a decisions from a set of possible decision alternatives when uncertainties regarding the future exist. The goal is to optimize the resulting payoff in terms of decision criteria. So maximizing expected profit is a common criterion when probabilities can be assessed. Maximizing decision maker's utility function is the mechanism used when the risk is factored into the decision-making process. So how do we formulate the problem? A decision problem is characterized by decision alternatives, states of nature, and resulting payoffs. The decision alternatives are different possible strategies the decision maker can employ. The states of nature refer to future events not under the control of the decision maker, which may occur. States of the nature should be defined so that they are mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. Diretso na tayo dito. So, in decision making without probabilities, kasi uncertainty na ito, three commonly used criteria for decision making when probability information regarding the likelihood of the states of nature is unavailable are the optimistic approach, the conservative approach, and of course, the minimax regret approach. Now, for the optimistic approach would be used by an optimistic decision maker. The decision with the largest possible payoff is chosen. Again, for optimistic approach, the decision with the largest possible payoff is chosen. If the payoff table was in terms of cost, the decision with the lowest cost would be chosen, of course. Now, for the conservative approach would be used by a conservative decision maker. Yun si conservative, medyo critical siya. Medyo critical. Parang medyo play safe pa nga minsan. For each decision, the minimum payoff is listed and then the decision corresponding to the maximum of this minimum payoff is selected. Hence, the minimum possible payoff is maximized. If the payoff was in terms of cost, the maximum cost would be determined for each decision and the decision corresponding to the minimum of this maximum cost is selected. Ulitin ko, there are several options. If this is a payoff, isusulat natin yung pinakamataas. Baliktad. Isusulat natin yung pinakamaliit na posibleng maging profit. Ano po? Ng lahat ng options. Pero, kasi may tatlong options, ilalagay natin yung pinakamaliit sa tatlo. Ilalagay natin yung pinakamaliit na posibleng profit ng bawat isa. Pinakamaliit na posibleng profit ng bawat isa. And out of those pinakamaliit, kukunin mo yung pinakamataas o pinakamalaki. Ano po? Yun. Kung siya ay profit. Pero kung siya ay cost, isusulat mo yung pinakamalaking cost ng bawat options and out of those costs, pipiliin mo yung pinakamababa. Okay. For minimax regret approach, the minimax regret approach requires the construction of a regret table and opportunity loss table. This is done by calculating for each state of nature the difference between each payoff and the largest payoff for that states of nature. Then using the regret table, the maximum regret for each possible decision is listed. The decision chosen is one corresponding to the maximum regrets. Okay, let's try to consider this following optimistic approach. Siya ay 4, 0, 1, 4, 3, 5, and -2, -1, -3. So in that case, using optimistic approach, you'll be using decision tree and states of nature 2. Ito po. States of nature 2 and decision tree. D3 and S2. Ano po? Yun ang ating pipiliin. An optimistic decision maker would choose the optimistic approach. All we really need to do is to choose the decision that has the largest single value in the payoff table. This largest value is 5 and hence the optimal decision is D3 under S2. Okay po? Now, when we're dealing with conservative approach, we'll be getting the minimum for all of these, in which case under states of the nature 3. Then we get the maximum. Ano po? Pinakamababa sa lahat, then kunin natin yung maximum. That's -1. Ano po? Malinaw po tayo doon. Now, for the minimax regret approach, we try to consider every element for the different states of nature. You have for S1, that's 401. For S2, that's 435. For S3, that's -2, -1, -3. When we're doing minimax regret approach, we will select the highest value for each states of nature and then subtract every element to that value. So that would become 4 minus 0, that's 0. 4 minus 4, that's 0. 0 minus 4, that's 4. 4 minus 1, that's 3. Ayun po ha, tandaan niyo po ito ha. 4 minus 4, 0. 4 minus 0, 4. 4 minus 3. 4 minus 1, 3. Sana po gets niyo ha. Then you have 5. 5 minus 4, that's 1. 5 minus 3, 5 minus 2, that's 3. 5 minus 5, that's 0. Okay po ha. And then, negative 1. Negative 1. So, ako. Negative 1. Negative 1 minus negative 2, that's 1. Negative 1 minus negative 1, that's 0. Negative 1 minus negative 3, that's 2. Ano po? So, then yung ating pipiliin. In that case, we'll be getting the minimum. And the minimum is kukunin natin pala yung kukunin natin yung maximum pala. Kukunin natin yung maximum for each decision. And yung maximum for this D1 is 1, maximum for D2 is 4, maximum for D3 is 3, and we get the minimum. In which case, the minimum is 1 covering D1. Okay po ha. Example. Tom Brown has inherited $1,000. He has to decide how to invest the money for 1 year. A broker has suggested 5 potential investments: gold, junk bond, growth stock, certificate of deposit, stock option hedge. The return on each investment depends on the market behavior during the year, which again is uncertain. Tom would build a payoff table to help make the investment decision. Ito po ang kanyang ginawang investment decision. So, states of nature, which is one large rise, yung kanyang large rise, small rise, no change, small fall, large fall. So the total is supposed to be, basta yan yung value na binigay niya. Ano po? Siya ang nagbigay niya, that should be given. Ha? That should be given. Wala kayong kailangang hanapin dyan. Okay. When we are to use the optimistic approach, ang pipiliin po natin is one with the highest value. And one with the highest value is, alin po kaya? Of course, yung ating band. Ano po? Yung ating band ang kailangan nating piliin. Why? Because it has a highest value of 250. Okay? While for conservative approach, we'll be considering the maximum for each. Sorry, the minimum for each. The minimum for each is negative 100, negative 150, negative 60, and 60. And among the minimum, you select the maximum. Ano po? Alin po ang maximum? Ano po ang maximum? Wait lang. Parang sala to. maximum. Parang baliktad. Kinuha ang minimum. Ang minimum ay negative 100, negative 150, negative 60, and negative 660. And you select the maximum. And the maximum should be 60. The answer should be CD account. Ano po? Ito po sa conservative approach. The answer should be CD account. Okay po? Kung hindi pa kayo magtatanong, wala akong problema. Ang tamang sagot po dyan, because you consider the minimum for each of the states of nature. That's negative 100, negative 150, negative 60, and 60. And from those minimum, you select the maximum. And the maximum is 60. Ano po? And then for optimistic approach, ibang bilang. Example to na pala to. Wait. Bond 250, stock 500, CD 60. Okay. So to find the optimal decision, find the maximum payoff for each decision. So yun na nga. Siya ay stock. For minimax regret approach, kunin natin yung highest for each tandaan po natin, kunin natin yung highest for each states of nature. That is 500 for large rice. And then $250 for small rice. Then 200 for no change. Then 300 for small fall. And then 60 for large fall. So gagawin po natin, ano po natin yan? Isa-isahin po natin siya. So that will become 500 minus negative 100, that's 600. 500 minus 250, so that's 250. 500 minus 500, that's 0. 500 minus 40, that's 460. On the case of small rice, we'll be considering 250. Ito po, siya yung highest. So that's 250 minus 100, that's 150. 250 minus 200, that's 50. 200 minus 200, that 250 minus 250, that's 0. Yun lang. And then 200 minus 200, 0. Para lang po natin yan. Ano po? Sana po nag-gets niyo yung minimax regret approach. Then afterwards, you select the maximum. You select the maximum for each decision. For gold, that's 600. For bond, that's 400. For stock, that's 660. And for seed, that's 440. Then afterwards, once you do that, you choose one with lowest. The minimum, regret. The minimum, which is 400. Okay po? 400 po ang pipiliin natin dyan. Now, for sensitivity analysis, kung maaalala nyo po, doon po sa binigay kong sample na project, meron dong sensitivity analysis. Ano po? Sensitivity analysis is the study of how the variation of uncertainty in the output of a mathematical model can be apportioned qualitatively or quantitatively to different sources of variation in the input of the model. Put another way, it is a technique for systematically changing parameters in a model to determine the effects of each changes. In sensitivity analysis, you change the input parameters to see how the model results responds to these changes. Thus, sensitivity analysis resembles laboratory research where you control input and measure the outcome. Ito po siya. I will no longer discuss this. Ano po? You study this. Aralin niyo po ito. But, ituturo ko po sa inyo yung isa sa alam kong way. Because, kasi yung nakalagay po sa ating final project, yun po yung way na ituturo ko. Pero you can do this or my way, yung way ko, wala namang problema. Ano po? Okay. Magulo na to. Ulit na lang. Okay po. In sensitivity analysis, you consider those factors that are uncertain, na posibleng magbago-bago. Ano po? You consider parameters that are uncertain. Let's say, for example, you are trying to assess oil production. In the oil production, you're trying to develop a field. Okay po? And then afterwards, you consider that when you change the price, gayon, that when you change the price, it will affect the outcome of the project. Likewise, if you change the oil production, it will also affect the outcome. Maaari yung assessment mo ngayon ay kikita ka, pero nung pinago mo ng kaunti yung oil production, bigla kang nalugi. Ano po? So, nung nagkaroon ng inflation, tumaas ang capital expenditure. Kasi nagmahal ang materials. Okay po? CAPEX. Ay nagmahal din ang OPEX. Let's say, for example, these are some of the factors that are uncertain. Uncertain in a way that it is so sensitive that even though there's a slight change in these parameters, it might affect the decision. Okay po, the reason why it is called sensitivity analysis, because we believe that these factors are those sensitive that could really affect the way decision makers present their decision. Okay po? So in that case, halimbawa, meron kang tatlong options. So tatlong options, ang pinagbasihan natin ay present worth. At ang sabi natin, out of the 3 options, ang may pinakamataas na present worth ay option B. Okay po ha, option B ang may highest present worth. Ngayon, ano ang details ng option B? Ang details ng option B, again, oil production, price, capex, opex. This resulted, let's say, for example, to a present worth of 100 million. May data po ito ha, may data yan. Sige, ibigay ko yung data, kunwari, magkaroon tayo ng konting data. 50, halimbawa lang po yan ha. Sige. 100, 500. 10 pesos at $10. Capital expenditures ay 1 billion. Halimbawa, ang OPEX natin ay 250. Okay po. Yan po. Yan yung option B natin. Ha? Yung option B natin, nagkaroon ka ng oil production na 500, ang price mo ay 10, ang capex mo ay 1 billion. Sige na, anuhin na lang natin. 80 na lang para 80 para ano lang. 800 pala. Okay, 800. And OPEX of 250. It resulted to a present worth of 100. Guys, these are just data. Example data, sample data lang po ito. With these parameters, it resulted to 100M. Malinaw po tayo dyan. Ha, example lang po yan. Pero yung calculation niya, pwede natin i-calculate yan para mas maging realistic. Now, how do we do sensitivity analysis? I have to determine whether as oil production is so sensitive. I have to determine, okay, for oil production. Okay, you have oil production. You have price, capex, opex. What is this? This is my baseline data. Okay po. Now, for oil production, meron tayong 500 baseline. 500, 100, 80, 250. Ngayon po, ang hinahanap natin ay oil production. Ito po ang ating hinahanap. So more like dapat meron tayong, let's say, kayo po ang bahala. Minus 20%, plus 20%. Or plus 50, minus 50, plus 5. Wala pong problema yon. Therefore, ano po ang minus 20% nitong 500? Ito ay 400. Malamang ito ay 600. Ano po? Then, we make other parameter constant. Ito ay 100, 100, ito ay 80, sorry, 800 ata, 800, 800, 800, then 250, 250. Okay po? So, ang present worth nito ay may value. Kung ano man to, may value yan. Ito ay equal sa 100. Kasi pareho lang siya. 500, 80, 800, 250. 100. Ito may value din. Kung ano man yung value niya. Okay po? Na hindi siya 100 kasi nagbago na ito. Nagbago na siya. Ano po? These are points. Point 1, point 2, point 3. Again, the minimum points required to have a line is 2 points. Ano po? So itong isang ito ay linya na agad ito, ha? Linya na ito. Now, I have to do price. I have oil production, price, capex, opex. Baseline is again 500, 100, 800, 250. Dahil po ang gusto kong malaman na sensitive ay OPEC, ay price, ngayon, i-constant ko ang oil production. 500, 500. Ang capex ko, constant din, 800, 800. Ang OPEX ko, constant din, 250, 250. 100 minus 0.20 is 80, and this is 120. Again, the present worth is 100. This is another value. This is another value. Then, that's like another line again. Ano po? Then, I follow CAPEX. Then, ganun proseso. Then, afterwards, OPEX. Then, the output would be a graph. Okay. When you graph the OPEX, the oil production, it's like this maybe. And the price is maybe like this. And the capex might be like this. Sorry. Naiibo ba yun? And the OPEX is maybe like this. Tandaan po natin that when we do that, there should be a common meeting point. Okay po, this is price. This is oil production. This is price. This is OPEX. This is CAPEX. How do we determine which one is the most sensitive? It's the one with the highest steep or the highest slope. In this case, oil production. Example lang po yan, ha? Oil production. Ibig sabihin, konting ibo sa oil production would lead to the project being unfavorable. Kahit pa from the very beginning, nakita mo na siyang favorable. Yan po yung sensitivity analysis na ginagawa natin. Ngayon po, sa ating project, kayo po ang bahala kung ano ang palagay nyo, ang parameters na posibleng maka-apekto. May study naman yan, may mga literature at may sa pinagkunan nyo. Kung alin dyan ang may pinaka-critical at pinaka-sensitive na parameters. Klaro po kaya itong ating discussion na ito? Wala po kayong clarification?